So in our previous class, we have discussed about how we are going to make use of output statements. Yeah, system.debug is our statement, output statement in Apex, and how we are going to write the Apex code, like where we are going to go to write our Apex code. So yes, we have discussed. So, and we were working on 4 different ways, and we were working on the execute anonymous window. So we just need to open our arc, and from the setup, just go to so just on the setup, we have this developer console. Just open that. Yeah, here is our developer console. And here from debug menu or control E, you can press, you can go to execute anonymous window. So here is where we are writing our code for now. Okay, so we have discussed that and we have done a couple of programs. Yeah, let's go back. Right, execute anonymous window, developer console, and then VS code. Okay, right. So we also discussed how we are going to execute our Apex code. So there are these 10 different ways of which we are going with this right now. We'll be dealing with remaining yeah, in the next coming classes. Okay. So execute anonymous window, it's a cloud-based editor which provides us with all the even the IntelliSense feature also, and it shows our output on our debug log file. So for every execution, a new debug log file gets generated for which displays the information about the output on that particular uh, Apex code. And also it includes the information about the uh, history of your program, like how much of resources is being used, how much of SQL queries you are using, how much of memory you are using. Yeah, all those information is presented in our debug log file. Okay. So how to open? Yes, we just discussed. Right. So we have done a small program, welcome message, and then a little bigger one, write an Apex program to define 2 variables. Yes, we have did it, and we have also tested, like by default, how Salesforce is assigning null values. So it's not a statement on the fly. Okay, we just proved that, right? Okay, so yes, this is a simple program. And then addition, subtraction, a calculation program we have done. And then there is another program which I have given you as a assignment. By any chance, anyone has completed this assignment? No? Okay. Yeah, but so in the programming, probably I would ask you to complete the assignments as soon as it is given on the same day or maximum the next day. Okay, because that's where you can understand things, and you there are chances you may get more doubts, and then I can explain you in the next class itself. Okay, and yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down this Apex program. So write an Apex program to calculate the sum of first 100 numbers. Okay, so let's go to our execute anonymous window. And here I'm going to write my code. Okay. So as I told you yesterday, to write this program, we need one principle like formula from the mathematics, that is sum of first n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 by 2, right? Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's define that value. Integer max number. Okay. So I'm just defining a number as max number, and I want to store the result in an integer variable result. And yeah. Okay. Then so this max number, how much do you want to assign? Any any you know personal requirements? If you have, we can do with any number. Okay. So let me assign 50 or 100 or whatever you want. Okay. So let's go ahead and assign, since our assignment says 100. So let's go ahead and take it as 100. Okay. So here I'm defining the variable and here I'm assigning the value, and this you can do it in one single line also. Okay. So you can assign as well as you can define and assign the value in the same line, right? You can do that. But for result, I cannot assign the value because I want to store the result of first 10 natural numbers in this particular result. Okay. So I'm not storing any value there, right? So the next statement would be result is equals to, so our the number is max number, that is let's say in mathematics we take n, right? So here it's n is max number. So n into n plus 1 by 2. That is what I'm going to write now. Okay. So max number into max number plus 1. So it's simple mathematics. We need to enclose between this, and we need to divide this whole uh, with the help of n into n plus 1 by 2. Okay, right? Yeah, this is how you write your expression. So max number into max number plus 1 by 2. So yeah, simple mathematical formula. So we need to use this parenthesis because it's just simple uh, processing in mathematics. I hope you know that, right? You know. All right. So there is something called operator precedence. So which operation should be performed first, which operation should be performed next. So multiplication has the precedence over addition. So that's the reason here I don't want multiplication to be performed first. I want this addition to be performed. So that's why I place them in the parenthesis. Okay. So again, this parenthesis has precedence over multiplication, right? So that's where I have written it this way. Okay. So let's go ahead, and for a better readability, I'm taking an extra line. And then we need to do our debug statement. System dot debug. Okay. So I want to display some message. Sum of first 100 numbers. Okay. Is. Yeah. Go ahead, add the result. Right. And the semicolon, which is important. Okay. Hope you understood this code, right? We are defining the variable and we are assigning the value. We are hard coding it actually. And result, we don't have to assign any value because it's going to store the calculation of this. So yes, I put the calculation here and I'm storing it into result, and then I'm displaying the result value. Okay. You can do here, you can do, see, if you have put 100, since we have hard coded, I put it as 100. But if you want to put this, whatever number comes here, you have to put it, you can do that also. Okay. You just need to go this way. And here you have to put max number plus the codes, right? So I want to give a space. Yeah. Sum of first, and then the max number will be displayed. And then again, our string values will be displayed, and then our result will be displayed. So you can do this way also. Okay. But just for making it very simple, I just took it this way. So we can do that as well as this. Let's go ahead, open log, let's click on it, and let's go ahead and execute. Right? So here is our log file. I just want to see only debug log. So sum of first 100 numbers is 5050. Okay. This is the result, right? So this is how you do your program in execute anonymous window. Let's go to our class nodes. Let's paste it there. Right. So here, this is the assignment which we have taken, and yes, we have done it. All right, let's go for next one. Yeah, today's class. So I have given two assignments. Let's do it as part of our class, and then we'll move on to the next. Okay. Write an Apex program. These are again very simple programs which uses mathematical formulas. Okay. Write an Apex program to calculate the simple interest. Okay. So yes, let me go to my developer console again. So anyone aware of this interest formula, simple interest formula in mathematics? Do we have any formula like that? Write an Apex program to calculate the simple interest. Any formula for the simple interest? Come on, it's basic mathematics. Yes. I wanted any one of you to speak. Yep. Charan, Deepika, Vijay, Saman,
Yes,
Shrikant.
Dilip, we have the formula.
Yeah. Do you remember? No?
P
I
into R
think
into T.
P into 1 plus TR.
the final amount is equal to
Final
principal
amount.
plus 1 plus rate of annual return into time.
Okay. Yeah, you were almost there, but the formula is I is equals to PTR by 100. Okay. PTR, principal term rate of interest by 100. I is simple interest. Okay. So PTR by 100, that's the formula. Okay, so let me go ahead and write down this principle. I'm asking, making it interactive because that way I understand that you people are listening. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and define our variables. Integer. So I wanted to give principal amount. Okay, so this is my variable, and rate of interest. And then tenure, then the interest amount. Okay. Yeah, these are our variables. Let's go ahead. So we have declared these variables, and right. So what we are going to do now, let's take some values for the principal, let's say. So our principal amount, let's take any numbers. If you want to give, you can give it, or else I will go with my wish. Okay, principal amount, I'm taking it as 25,000, and rate of interest is, let's say, 5%. Yeah, that's where you get so much of interest. Okay, and tenure is, let's say, 15 months or something. Okay, and interest amount, we are just going to calculate it. So we are not going to initialize that. It's going to store the actual result value. So interest amount is equals to PTR, principal tenure R is rate of interest. Okay, and this I will have to divide by 100. Hope I am correct. PTR by 100, interest amount. Yeah. So this is the principle of in general mathematics to calculate the interest amount. Okay. So next our debug statement. So do you want to write something? Yes. Single quote. The interest amount is, okay. And then here you just need to plus concatenate the value of this variable. Okay. And then our semicolon. Okay. Right. So this is how you write code. So we are defining the variables, principal, rate of interest, tenure, and interest amount, everything as integers. In real time, if you want, you can go with the decimals as well, because rate of interest, the interest amount will be sometimes in decimals also. Okay. So for simple example, I'm taking it this way. So I have initialized the values, and then I am calculating the normal mathematical formula, I is equal PTR by 100, and then I am displaying the interest amount. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute. Click on execute, and then here comes our result. Let's see, only debug only. The interest amount is 18,750. Okay, right. So this is so this way we can write simple programs. So let's go to our nodes. Right. So I'm writing this code here. So this will be a part of your notes. Okay. So it's important. And the next one, write an Apex program to find the bill amount based on quantity and unit price. I guess you guys can write it, right? It's just quantity, how much quantity you need, and then they multiplied by unit price. Okay. So, but yeah, if you can write, it's okay, or else I will just write down this simple program also for you. I would give you a complex programs as an assignment. Right. Okay. So let's define our variable, integer, quantity. Okay. I want to define and assign the value as well. And our unit price. So I want to define. So unit price is, let's say, 10 rupees per unit. And then I want to define the result value, how to store the result value, bill amount or something like that. Okay. So I have defined the variables as well as initialized. Okay. And then let's go ahead and calculate. So the bill amount is equals to, it's just simple unit price into quantity or quantity into unit price. Anything would do. Right. So yeah. So just simple multiplication and then our system dot debug statement. Right. The bill amount is plus my bill amount. Okay.
Hey Dilip, I think your screen is not visible. It's not sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. So it's just quantity and then unit price. I have defined as well as initialized the values. Okay. I mean, assign the values. And the bill amount I just defined, and bill amount I'm going to calculate just multiplication, and then I am printing the result. Okay, just it's the multiplication. So the result, the bill amount is 250. Okay, let's execute. Right. So here is our output. The bill amount is 250. Okay. So this is how you do simple programs in execute anonymous window. So all these assignments, I would ask you to just try it out. Yeah, I know it's basic, but yes, this will make you a little hands-on on the programming. Okay, right. So here, let's go ahead with this example only. Suppose I am going with something called 0. So here, actually, we are not doing, it's just a multiplication, and then it's not going to throw any error. It's going to say the bill amount is 0 if we are going with any of the zeros, quantity or unit price. Okay, so it's not going to do anything, but let's go to our previous example, calculation mathematics. So all the 4 calculations we have done, right? Okay. 1 second, let me copy that code and paste it here first. Right. So in our calculation, this program. So let's take mathematical calculations. Okay, so this one, if you see here, if I'm passing the second number as 0, let's take, I'm passing the second number as 0. So the result, first number plus second number, the result of addition result is the same first number, because 45,000 plus 0 is 45,000. Subtraction is the same again, 45,000 minus 0, 45,000. Multiplication, it's 45,000 into 0, it goes to 0. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0, right? So here, what happens? Right? What happens? Any guesses? So any number divided by 0, what happens?
Infinity, right?
Okay, right. Let's go ahead and execute this. And let's see. Variable does not exist. Oh, integer is missing here. I didn't copy it correctly. Or I would say integer result also, right? So let me execute. Okay, I don't want to save it. I just want to execute, right? So here, if you see, so now the code is correct, but there it throws an error. Okay, line 14, column 1, system dot math exception divide by 0. Okay, so it is throwing an error here on the 14th line because any number divided by 0, it's infinity. Okay, as part of normal mathematics, but in Apex we don't have anything like infinity. Okay, so we are not working with infinity. So that's where we have an exception arised on this particular program. Okay. So if you go to some other programming languages like JavaScript or any kind of designing programs, probably they make use of 0 and then -0, infinity, and then minus infinity. Also, they make use of it because that is needed for some kind of designing. But as part of Apex, we don't have anything like infinity. So we are not dealing with infinity in Apex, right? So in this case, what should I do? Okay. For that, let's go ahead and discuss a concept. Let me explain. Right. So as soon as we write an Apex program, what we are doing, we need to, we can't execute it, right? As soon as we write it, so we are going to save it, and then it is going to compile, and then once the code is compiled, then it is going to be executed. Okay. So while compiling, so here is my Apex code, and then I clicked on save. That's my class file sample.apxv. Okay. And then I'm compiling, the compiler compiles it and then sends any compile time errors. Okay. And it throws us the errors. Okay, compilation errors. So compilation errors can be something like here, reasons. So due to syntactical mistakes or due to lack of system resources. So if you are looking for let's say if you are running more than 100 SQL queries in your program, so it will throw lack of system resources error, something like that. Okay. And in my program, if I say I missed somewhere some semicolon, so it's a syntactical mistake. So it's a mistake from my side. I just need to um, write down the code clearly and fix those errors, and then I am going to compile it again. Okay. So I will be compiling it till my code becomes, free of problems. Problems when I say, uh, yeah, in our developer console, if we go back, right? So whenever you write a code here, you see, so here you see the problems, okay? So all the syntactical mistakes or any kind of issues, it's going to display here. So you need to fix all those problems, and then only your code will be able to, execute it. Compilation, it throws errors. So you have to fix those errors, and then you will have to execute it, okay? So that's where you just need to compile, fix the errors, and then do compilation again. So once the code is error free in compilation, then it gets executed. Okay. So at execution time also there can be a problems like the runtime errors or exceptions. So in our example, so you can see the screen, right? Yeah. So in our example, let's say first thing I'm doing is I wanted to miss a semicolon by intention. Okay, let me go ahead and execute. And it says unexpected token. Okay, where is it? Line 6. Right. So its meaning is actually it was expecting a semicolon the end of line, or not, it should not be this closing parenthesis. So it was expecting something, right? So that's where this is our syntactical error. And if you fix and then execute, so no errors. Okay. And then our debug log shows the output. Okay. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I wanted to go ahead. This is the compilation error. Okay. Example of it. Now I'm going to make the second number as 0 and then execute. It is going to throw me an error, math system.math exception divide by 0. So this is called the runtime error. Okay. So it is occurring at the runtime. Syntactically, our program is all correct, but there has been an error happened because divide by 0, we are not going to handle the infinity as part of our Apex program. So it's an exception. That's where at the runtime, we got this particular exception. Okay, so at the compile time, we will have the reasons like this, syntactical mistakes or a lack of system resources. Okay, but we can also have the similar type of errors called runtime errors or exceptions. So the reasons can be this. Okay, due to wrong logic. If you did not write the logic correctly, then it's going to throw runtime error due to missing values for the required fields. So if you're not passing values for the fields which are marked, which needed the value, then it's going to throw runtime error. And due to passing invalid, incorrect values for the variables. Okay, so that's one reason. Let's say if I define it as a string and I pass an integer, right? So it's actually going to take it. Okay, but if I declare it as integer and I am passing a string, so it's going to throw an error. Okay, right. So that's where the due to passing of incorrect values, also we can have the runtime errors. Okay, so for handling this, what do we need to do? Right. So here comes our to handle this compile time errors. To handle them, we are going to fix the code and then compile the code again. So till it becomes error free, compile time errors free. Okay, till that time we are going to fix our code. So we are going to do it because this is our mistake and syntactical mistakes, or yeah, so we are going to fix it. But runtime errors, how we are going to do it? We do not know what kind of runtime errors may occur, right? Like in our case, divide by 0, so we did not know that, so it's a runtime error. So for handling those kind of errors, we have something called conditional statements or and exceptional handling mechanisms. Okay, right. So yeah, this whole concept comes to an end here with the conditional statements. So here in our program, let's go to our program. So here in our program, we can see, we can write down, right, some statements like if my second number is equals to 0, then I will be printing a statement. Please enter a number greater than 0, something like that. So I can print that. So I'm going to handle that kind of exceptions. Okay. So here I'm going to write a code like if I'm going to execute this only if my first number and second number are greater than 0. So in that case, I'm going to write a condition here. Okay. So let's say if condition. So we are going to write. So that's the conditional statement. Okay. So let's go. So that's where we are dealing with our runtime error. So as a good programmer, you will have to deal with compile time errors. Anyway, you will be fixing it because those are small, simple mistakes, syntactical mistakes. But runtime errors also you will have to take care of it because That's where you go ahead and write the program in clean code, we call it. So yeah, you need to handle the exceptions, you need to do the conditions, comparisons. So yeah, so right. So that's where we came across something called conditional statements, right? So here, if you see conditional statements, okay. So this conditional statements can be of like those two types which I have shown in this figure. Okay. One is like, so the errors can be of two types. One is compilation errors and the runtime errors. So we are seeing that in the fig in our diagram. Okay. So compilation errors which will be arise during the compilation of Apex code by the Apex compiler. So compilation errors can be, syntactical mistakes or lack of system resources, and we can handle those compilation errors, right? So we can handle the compilation errors by modifying the code based on the rules, syntax of the Apex programming. So we should be very careful of the syntax. That's where we are writing very small programs also in order for us to understand the syntax. Okay. And runtime errors or exceptions. So while executing code by using Apex runtime engine, it causes errors, which is called as exceptions. Exceptions is nothing but undesired or unexpected behavior of an application at runtime. So this can occur due to wrong logic, missing values for required fields, and passing wrong values to variables. So yeah, this is what we have discussed, right? So when an exception is occurred, it will terminate the program abnormally, as we have seen. So it is giving us a dialog box saying exception divide by 0, exception, math exception, right? So to maintain the graceful termination of the application, we have to use the below mechanisms. Yes. So, right. Conditional statements and exceptional handling mechanisms. Okay. So for us to test initially if the user is passing the correct numbers or not, we are going to make use of something called conditional statements. Okay. So conditional statements can be, of So to handle this runtime exceptions, we are going to take help of conditional statements or exceptional handling mechanisms. Okay, right. So conditional statements, these are like used to validate some conditions. Okay, so in my case, in my example, if I can evaluate the first number and second number values should be greater than 0. So I need to evaluate that particular condition. So right, if I evaluate that way, probably I would have avoided the exception, right? The runtime error. So that's where we are going to evaluate one or more conditions using the conditional statements. So these before it is executed. So by using this, we can change the control flow. Okay, so first we are evaluating or validating our exceptions. Okay, so similarly, like in the configuration, we have done something called validation rules, right? So let me go to a simple example of right. So whenever, let's say I wanted to log into my Gmail, it's already logged in. Let's say I wanted to log into my Yahoo Mail. Okay. So it's going to ask me username as well as password. Okay. So let's say I have gone my username. Okay. Click on next and I wanted to give password. So it's actually asking me key from my mobile phone. Okay. So if I enter it something wrong and I clicked on login, so here it's going to say some message, right? Account key is wrong. Make sure you sign into this, right? So it's going to throw an exception to us saying, hey, your username or your password is wrong, right? So that's where we are going to do the validations in our programming based on our conditional statements. Okay. So conditional statements, by making use of this conditional statements, we are going to evaluate a block of statements or some conditions. And based on that, we are going to perform the next operation. So if the condition turns true, we are going to perform operations. So if the condition is going to turn false, then we are going to go in another loop. So something like that. So in our configuration, we have discussed with validation rules, right? I wanted to, interlink the topics with the configuration as well. That's where I'm discussing this. Yeah. Yeah, this is needed because so that we will have concepts, all the concepts at handy in our mind. Okay. Right. So sorry, go to validation rules and click on new. So here, when we write something, we are going to give the conditions. And here, if you see, where do you want to display the error message, at the field or on top of it? Okay. So now when I tried logging into my Yahoo Mail, it is throwing me the error at the field, right? That near the password box, it's throwing me error, right? So this is where we are going to do the validations with configuration, making use of validation rules. Similarly, if we need to do validations on our code, we are going to make use of something called conditional statements. So, right, Apex provides like 3 different types of conditional statements. One is if condition, second one is switch statement, third one is ternary operator. Okay. So before, uh, I guess winter 18, winter 18 release, we have only two conditional statements, that is if and then the ternary operator. Okay. So we did not have switch statement. So post to that winter 18 release, we have this switch statement. Initially, Salesforce do not want to implement the switch because it has so much of performance issues. Okay. So that's where, but they have done a lot of analysis, research on it, and then they have added the switch statement also to the programming, but because we come across multiple scenarios dealing with the switch statement. Okay. Okay. So they have refined the switch statement and then they have introduced it to us as part of conditional statements in Apex. Okay. The switch statement is the switch statement, but it will have a little different syntax when it compared to our C or Java. Okay. Right. So the 3 conditional statements are if, switch statement, and ternary operator. Okay. Right. So let's go ahead and discuss the if condition. Okay. So conditional statements, it is going to evaluate, and then these are the 3 conditional statements I have. Let's deal with if condition. So if is a conditional statements provided by Salesforce, which is used to add one or more user-defined conditions to be get verified before executing statements. Okay. So this point you have to note before executing. Okay. Right. So if we go to our block of code, yeah, let's have syntax of if condition and then we will write that code. Okay. So if the conditions are satisfied, then it will execute the block of statements, else it will skip the execution of statements. By using the if condition, we can change the control flow, right? So we can change the control flow. I'll show you through programming, like how we are changing also. Apex provides 4 formats of if condition. So for if we have 4 types. Simple if else, else if, and nested if. Simple if is just an if condition. If else is if condition followed by else conditions. Else if is so within if, and then again we will have to write a condition in the else also. We can write it. Nested if is the if condition within if condition. So loop. Okay, nested, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and write our simple if condition. So simple if condition, the syntax is going to look like this: if conditions, and then write this block, execute this block of statements. Okay. So in this approach, if the specified conditions are satisfied, then it will be executing, else it won't execute. It just comes out of this loop and execute the remaining statements, right? Okay, we have to prepare the conditions like variable name, operator, value. So let's say if rating equals to hot, then I have to go and execute this. If annual revenue, so the conditions will be like this: variable name, operator, and then value. Okay, so operator can be comparison operators. Okay, so we can prepare multiple conditions with the help of logical operators. Okay, so we in the if condition, we can put one single condition or multiple conditions also by making use of our logical operators, and or not, something like that, right? So let's go to our example. Okay, so here if you see first number, second number we have given, and addition I'm doing it, subtraction I'm doing it, multiplication I'm doing it, but division and modulus I wanted to test a condition. So if the second number, since the second number, why we are testing only on the second number? Because I'm passing the second number as the denominator for my multiplication, sorry, division, right? So that's where I'm testing the second number. But if you want, you can test both by making use of and first number greater than 0. So you can test both. That means this and operator, again, it is like if both the conditions are true, then only it will go. Okay. Or is like if any one of them is true, then it will go. Right. So for now, I'm not testing it, but yes, we can do it if you feel. Okay. So I'm going to test the condition, and then if it is greater than 0, then only I'm executing. Right. So let's go ahead and execute this particular piece of code. So here I am on my execute anonymous window. So let me just go ahead and execute that piece of code where I have written the if condition. Okay. So if the syntax is like if, and then within the parentheses, we are going to write the condition or conditions. And then we are going to make the block of statements here, which are enclosed within flower braces. Okay. Right. Hope you understood this code. It's just simple. Okay. And here, so in our previous scenario, we were using the second number as 0. It was throwing an error. So first, let us go without 0. Let's execute. And here is your result. Yeah, there is no error because second number is not 0. Okay. Let's go ahead and execute it with 0. Right. Here also no error because we have dealt that exception of divide by 0. That is the second number should not be 0. That is the condition we have mentioned and we have dealt with it. That's where it's not going to be throwing an error. But here, if you see, I have written 5 output statements, but I only see 3 output statements. Okay. Right. So that's where our, exception has occurred. Our condition has been executed. So here, if you see, uh, Right. Here, if you see, if some a layman is writing some program like this, and he's like, I'm used. Oh my God, where is my uh, fourth and fifth statements, output statements? Okay. So I think I'm doing it right, but the system is having some problem. So that's what he thinks, right? So that's what happens when I'm trying to log in to my Yahoo and it does not display any email error message when I click sign in. If it doesn't display any error message, then what do I need to think? There is some problem with the Yahoo application. That is what I think, right? So here also the same case. Since our condition is getting executed, it's not greater than 0, so it's just going out here. Okay. Uh, so for that, to overcome that, we can write some statements, okay, in our else block, okay, or we can write another if condition saying if the second number is equals to 0, please enter the second number, greater than 0. So I can write a block of conditions like this, right? Please enter So here I'm testing a condition, whether the second number is equals to 0, then I am throwing this error message to the user. Okay. So I'm using 0. Let's execute. Missing something. Yeah. What is it? Yeah, this is semicolon. Okay. So you need to be very careful on the syntax as well. So because of semicolon, it's throwing error here. Right. Let's execute. Okay. Here, if you see, so first three messages, output statements are good, and last two, it's not giving anything, but it's saying, please enter the second number greater than 0. Since we have entered the second number equals to 0, it is executing that particular condition. And yeah, it's equals to 0, then it is going to display this message. So that's what happening here. So it's going to display the error message to the user. Okay, so like this way, we will need to handle our exceptions or the runtime errors which may occur on our programming. Okay, so let's say let's go to the nodes. Let me show you. So let's say I don't want accounts whose rating is, not hot. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to write down the condition if rating equal to hot, then only I'm going to execute those conditions. Okay, I'm going to mark those customers as prime customers if the rating is hot. So something like that. So we will have to deal with this kind of uh, conditions with the help of our conditional statements. And that's where we have discussed the simple if statement. Okay. And right. So here, this is our example. Okay. So we are dealing with the if condition, and I have written one other extra statement saying, so because the user is getting confused that he has written 5 output statements and only 3 of them are getting displayed, right? So he was getting confused. That's where I have written that extra line of code saying, boss, you will have to enter the second number greater than 0, something like that. Okay. So I'm dealing with this. That's where you will have to show. So for now, the user will understand that, okay, he was entering the second number of 0. That's where it is not executing the last two output statements, the division and the modulus operation, right? Okay, yeah, this is how we are going to deal with our execution on the uh, Apex. So we have to work on this particular, how first the compile time errors, and then how we are going to fix that anyway, because those are syntactical errors. and then only we are saving our Apex code. And then we will have to deal with the runtime errors, which we are not aware, okay, what will happen. Okay, so for dealing this, we are using conditional statements and then exceptional handling. So we'll talk more on the conditional statements and yeah, all the conditions, if statements, switch, and then ternary operator. Okay, and then uh, we'll write an example code or sample programs for the conditions. Okay, yeah, we will talk about exceptional handling mechanisms also in our future classes, right? Yeah, so right, let's. So today's class we have discussed on our few programs we have executed for calculating simple interest, for calculating some of us 100 numbers, for calculating some bill amount, right? So those simple programs we have done, and then we discussed about the conditional statements in that if statement. So conditional statements, we have if, switch, and ternary. And in if statement, we have another four types, that is if else if, and nested if. Okay. So we just discussed the simple if condition. So we are going to discuss all these conditional statements in our next class. Okay. Right. That is all for today's class. Please work on the assignments during the weekend and have a look on all the previous classes, notes, everything. Okay. And come back to me on Monday with doubts. Okay. Right. That is all for today's class and have a good day. Happy weekend. Thank you. Bye.